According to the most recent data on the housing market, the average sale price of a new construction home dropped more than 7% in February compared to the previous month. At the same time, there were 0.3 less new construction homes sold in February when compared to January's revised numbers. And according to this article, a chief economist surveyed new home builders in the United States, and it showed that roughly 1/4 of builders reported cutting home prices in March. They are attributing this data to price cuts as well as a combination of building slightly smaller homes. So not only is the data showing significant price cuts in February, but according to home builders pooled, 1/4 are expected to lower prices in March this month as well. And currently there is a 8.4 month of supply of new construction homes on the market, which is roughly 463,000 homes. Now, for a healthy real estate market, typically you want around a 6-month supply of homes available. So there is an overabundance of new construction homes on the market, which could also be an attributing reason to why some of these new construction home prices are coming down. Now, if we were to flip this over and go to some of the data for existing home sales, the data shows quite the opposite, with inventory for existing home sales currently at 2.9 months of supply. And month over month, sales rose 9.5%, the largest monthly increase since February of 2023. However, sales actually declined 3.3% from the previous year. And completely opposite of new construction, the average price of existing homes rose 5.7% from February of 2023 to $384,000. This is the 8th consecutive month of year-over-year price gains. These price gains are on top of the fact that inventory for existing homes increased 5.9% from a month ago, bringing them up to that 2.9 month supply. Now, the interesting thing about all this is how mixed all the data is. I firmly believed that there was going to be some sort of housing crash this year. Now, here we are in the first quarter of 2024, and the Fed is planning to cut rates sometime in the third quarter of this year, and they're supposed to continue those all the way into next year. This is all public data. They plan on 2 cuts, and they plan on starting it sometime around the third quarter, and they plan to continue cutting rates. So what is baffling me is all this conflicting data, and I just don't see how the housing market is going to correct itself. Up until now, I firmly believed that there had to be some sort of correction simply because homes are just unaffordable to the average American. You can look at plenty of statistics that can show you this. The average household income is $74,000 a year, where the average home cost $400 and something thousand. You need to make over $100,000 in order to afford that average home in America. So one would think that there had to be some sort of correction in the housing market. It's simple supply and demand. If you don't have people that can afford to buy these homes, then the prices are just going to have to come down. There has to be some sort of equilibrium in the market. But I just don't see how that's going to happen if the Fed is going to start cutting rates in the third quarter of this year. Because what's going to happen when the Fed starts cutting rates? All these would-be buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines, and yes, I know for a fact they've been sitting on the sidelines because I am selling 2 homes right now, and there has been virtually no traffic on those homes, and they're nice homes. So the housing market is much slower than it normally would be, even for, January, February, and now we're into March where it should be picking up, and it's still slow. So there are a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines, and when the Fed starts cutting rates, which they're not going to just fall overnight, it's going to take some months for them to get from 7 where they are now down to probably 6 at the beginning of next year, where all these buyers are going to start coming out and looking at homes. And there's going to be plenty of supply then because supply is building up, but prices likely will not decrease if the Fed is going to lower rates. In fact, it might even cause the price of houses to go up even more. So I'm honestly just really confused. I'd be curious what your comments are down below. Up until this point, I was pretty dang sure that there was going to be some sort of correction on the horizon. However, there are no cracks in the residential real estate market other than the fact that it's just simply unaffordable. All the cracks in the economy have to do with banks, they have to do with commercial real estate, office real estate, and I just don't see how those things would end up inversely affecting the residential real estate market. Even if we're in a recession right now, the time from now until when the Fed starts cutting rates is such a short span of time that I just don't see how there can be some sort of equilibrium in the housing market and these prices come down from now until then. Because you and I know that once they lower those rates, prices are probably likely to just go up. All these buyers are going to come out of the woodwork, and it's just going to be the same thing all over again that it was the last couple years. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm curious if you think there's going to be some sort of housing correction and how it's going to happen. See, we have a very low supply of existing homes. Those are, older homes, not new construction homes, at 2.9 months supply, which could be propping up the prices on homes because there's just such little supply available to would-be buyers. And then on the other side of that, we have new construction homes, which have been seeing price cuts left and right. But according to the Fed, they plan to cut rates sometime in the third quarter of this year, which would mean from now until then, when interest rates start coming down, in order for there actually to be a housing correction, prices would just have to drastically decline. Something drastic would have to happen in the housing market for that to happen in such a short span of time. Everything in the economy and everything in the real estate market is basically a slow-moving train. And what's going to happen when rates come down, when the Fed starts lowering rates, which it won't happen immediately, this is going to take, probably 6 months in order for rates to come down an actual full point from 7% where they are now down to 6%. It's going to take a number of months for that actually to happen, but the only thing that's going to do is prop up the prices in the housing market. So I just don't see how this bubble can actually pop. And I firmly believe we are in a bubble. And yet here we are, getting ready to have the interest rates lowered, and then that's going to cause buyers to come out of the woods, and the prices on these homes is going to be propped up once again. And I just don't see how we can get back to an equilibrium if that's going to happen. Maybe that is what the Fed wants. Maybe they want to prop up the housing market. But in all actuality, the only thing that is wrong with the housing market is just homes are too expensive. So you can actually have supply and demand level out where prices come back down, but it's going to take a very long time for that to happen. There's nothing catastrophic that is going to cause those prices to just fall overnight or fall within a month or two span of time. We do have issues in commercial real estate. We have issues in office real estate. We have issues in other sectors of real estate, but I just don't see how those are going to affect the residential real estate market and cause some of these prices to come down. So honestly, I'd be curious what your opinions are in the comments down below. I really am just kind of baffled as to how the housing market is going to correct itself, because people just can't afford a home. I mean, you can see videos all over YouTube and you see news articles about this all the time. So it makes absolutely no sense to me, but I guess not everything does have to make sense. I feel like the housing market is just going to get even worse than it is now. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, the only way for you to stay prepared is to stay informed. So please smash the like button, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.